Thought I'd follow up on some of the other videos that were done this morning. And it is not easy to be unoriginal, to be who you are, to be something other than another repeater, another counterfeit. It takes work to be who you really are, to be an original, to be different, to stand against the grain. This is a time that I'm unsubscribing to certain schools of thought. I don't know what's going on astrologically, but there is something going on, something dealing with the energy of renewal. It's been this way for some time. This isn't just about a few weeks, although there are certain transits, and others know more about the specifics. I just feel them. This is a great time to unsubscribe to certain YouTube channels, to remove certain people from your Facebook news feed that are, putting something out there. And we're not all perfect. And we should be compassionate. We should be patient with others. We should be loving with others. But we should not hesitate to eliminate snip, 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 those aspects of our life, those things that we're close to. We shouldn't hesitate to snip those things out of it, to cut those things out of our world, out of our worldview, out of our understanding. Cutting those things out that are inside of us, perspectives, ways of looking at the world, and things that we're listening to, people that we're listening to. I randomly will pick up books or, a Bible, for example, some spiritual text whatsoever. I will flip to a random page. There will be a message in that random page for me. I grab one of those Daily Bread things, one of those biblical books that has random scriptures in there and other writings. It was talking about praying big when you're praying to God. And I was just talking about a certain concept, and then I see this echoed in this biblical text. I just got back from walking since I made the last two videos, and I pick up this. I don't have it on me now. Pick up this text that's talking about there's nothing too large when it comes to the Creator for them to be able to do. And I was basically alluding to the fact that sometimes the universe will come back with something better or larger than what you even thought once you put it out there that you want something out of it, something good, if it's something positive, if it's something that deals with helping others. I think the likelihood that you're going to get a response is even more likely, more possible than if you were like asking for something for yourself. Ooh, I want this car. I want this model car. Kevin Trudeau and people like him talk about you can have anything you want, anything, anything, anything. You just got to believe that you can have it. And you can take that thinking and you can create destructive realities in your life. You can create misery with what you've created because you're creating it. And you can think, oh, that's going to make me happy. I'm going to create this. I'm going to create that. And you find out in the end, you create something that you're worried about losing. You get attached to the physical thing or the relationship or the person. And we forget. Everything changes. Relationships, people, thoughts, behaviors, weather patterns, societies, politics, our bodies. We age. Everything changes. I want to live a life where I am happy doing what I'm doing, and I'm not striving to I am not trapped mentally in a cage psychologically where I have to be at a certain place physically or financially in order to feel fulfilled and happy. I do, however, want to accomplish certain goals. before I leave this body. That's not wrong. I think that's admirable, but I can also, and I do, imprison myself by saying, well, I'm not going to be happy until I make this film about this topic that reaches this many people. It's difficult for me to be happy as I am as it is. Doing videos as I are, where I am, in the state that I'm in, as it is, with full honesty, with full compassion, attempting to be as truthful as possible, to try to be as more and more truthful as the videos go on. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this path is going to lead me. I have faith in this path. This path feels right. See, Zen and the art of activism, to be at peace with yourself every moment, because you're doing the right thing, because you're spreading truth, you're spreading consciousness, you're trying to make the world a better place. You are making the world a better place. You are becoming a better person yourself. You are having the internal revolution. See, knowing these things and feeling those things, this is where a true sense of happiness comes from. Happiness that comes from material things or temporary relationships are fleeting, they're passing. And that's why we try to grab a hold of them, because we want to extract as much pleasure from those transient realities and experiences. We don't want to become enslaved to an attachment, to changing realities. We want to appreciate them as they come, and we want to be grateful for them, but we also enjoy those things with an open hand, not with a closed fist. So with an open hand, things may come, things may go, but if we have a closed hand, we may not only lose what we're trying to hold on to, we may keep our hand or our consciousness closed to other things that may come in, that we may not even be perceiving, positive things. Again, this is why we should think big. Think big about how we can live these free lives with other people, whether you're going to do it off the grid or whether you're going to do it in the city. For those in the city, articulate what that looks like. First in your mind. It is not easy. Of course, this is why I have not spoken positively about dense population center living. But for those that are listening to this channel and are going to remain where you are, you're responsible, I think, for spreading consciousness where you live. You know, we could start with those coffee shop meetups, but it's really about being a human being and not being what a lot of people have become. You know, it's not your job to learn how to become a perfect robot here on Earth so you can survive, so you can pay your bills. This is not in line with nature. Maybe a part of life today, but it is not aligned with nature. In the cities, there's a lot of people, which means there's a lot of opportunity to have exchanges with people, to have dialogue, to create positive change, to hold space. What I mean by holding space is 2 or more gathering. Kind of like church. But you don't necessarily have to read from a book. Creating space, 2 or more, or just yourself. But the goal is to create a positive reality around you. And in the cities, there are people. People are resources. They're not products. They're not monetary items. They don't have monetary values. But human resources, hence human resources, we are the ultimate resource and source of energy. Governments need people to live. People don't need government to live. So when 2 or more small groups gather and they are creating community gardens, they are creating independent living spaces, they are creating dialogue about things of this world and things beyond this world, and they're creating a positive space where there's sharing of the information taking place without negativity, without people being subjected to insults and being on the other end of unwarranted accusations and finger pointing. That is not conducive to a positive reality. So we all have these opportunities to create these positive realities, but in order to do so, in order to be an original, There's a lot of noise outside, so I'm trying to hold my focus. A lot of noise right now. Cars coming and going. People talking outside the door. To be an original, you've got to be willing to be unpopular. You've got to go against the grain. And you've got to be willing to summon all the strength that you need to keep going on your own. To utilize your willpower. To learn how to make a stand. To learn how to not be weak and just succumb to other people's will. It requires a truly strong psychological outlook on things to be in that space, to where you're able to hold your own when the storms come in, the storms of influence, the influences that want you to think like them. If you succumb to those forces, you don't evolve as far as you can. There's a lot of things that I talk about that a lot of people don't understand, and they're constantly telling me, hey, this goes above my head, could you maybe not talk about this? And I have a choice to make. I can either conform to what someone else understands, their left or right worldview, their spiritual understandings, their religious understandings, or their atheist views. Or I can be an original, I can be who I am, and I can reach those select few that are receptive to this. And what that does is it encourages me to go even deeper into what reality even is. Because life itself is not about day-to-day survival. Of course, it is for a lot of people. It is about survival, it is about war, it is about left versus right, it is about right versus left. That is reality for people. Being a slave, working for others, not trying to make the world a better place, not trying to create peace, but conflict. That's the consensus reality. When you step outside of that and you speak your truth, you could be condemned by those that claim that they are spiritual and those that claim that they are politically savvy. But that's just the nature of humanity. And we have to come to terms with that, that the masses are following what is the consensus reality around them. Whether they are taking part in creating that reality or not, it doesn't matter. The majority of the masses are simply following the reality that's been established for them. So when you break out of that, you're going to face challenges. You're going to face persecutions. You may even be killed depending on what age you were born into in this very insane matrix. But there is something more than this lifetime. And that's what's very important to understand about just this whole experience. I'm going to wrap this up here with this general concept, though, that if you think you're going to evolve and reach higher states of awareness and enlightenment by thinking the way your friends think, thinking the way your parents want you to think, thinking the way that your employer wants you to think, you're not really going to be advanced as you can. I won't. I have to live with the reality every day that I know that I am very capable of communicating certain truths in this world. And when you look at things, I guess in a larger perspective, I am still fairly young, and I have a whole life ahead of me, and I'm 33 years old right now, and the world is not ending tomorrow. So I have to think about the world of tomorrow and the world that I want to create for myself. And the world that I want to create for myself is not a world where I'm worried about survival day to day and I'm conforming to other people's worldview, and I'm worried about getting older. No, I don't like those realities. I don't want to worry about getting older. I want to live every day as if it was my last. I want to live without regrets, and I want to free myself, not only from the system, but from myself. As David Icke says, the greatest prison is the fear of what other people will think about you. So I suggest you start asking those questions as to what the truth is, and you may be called to service by the higher forces to share that information with others. I think a lot of you could accelerate your evolution spiritually if you spoke publicly about your awakening to certain truths. I don't think that we are all supposed to just simply be silent in a state of meditation in our seeking of and experiencing of such truths. Thank you for watching. Of course, the website is alexdancery.tv. There'll be more activity on that webpage over the course of the winter. And please, of course, if you haven't by now, please sign up to the newsletter.